Well, we're back again today, folks, and what we're going to do is we're going to be canning some stew meat. Now, I have here in the way of ingredients is I have some Montreal seasoning, which does have salt in it, just so you know, onion, some rosemary, and what I've done in my quart-sized jars is I've put some onion in, the Montreal seasoning, in every single one of these mason jars. So now what I'm going to do is what is called raw packing. I'm going to take my beef and I'm going to throw it into there until it's within about an inch of the top of the jar. This would be enough stuff for, and then we're going to push it down as hard as we can to press it down inside that jar, because we want as much of the meat in there as possible so that we have a very nice raw pack. So that's about one couple more pieces here. And that ought to do it, and that's about where we want it at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of this meat and I'm going to put it in each one of these jars. And I might do a little something different. I might put some carrots and chunks of potato in here. So that'll be the pre-makings for a beef stew for my family. So I'll bring you back as soon as I get this done. And hang on. Because I did not have enough meat, I've decided to do something different. What I'm going to do now is I have made my raw meat pack with the onions and the Montreal steak seasoning salt in this one. This will be the one and only one that I have. But in these other jars, as you can see, I put some carrots, I have some turnip root, some potato, and every single one of these. And I have the Montreal steak seasoning salt, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of the sprigs of rosemary, and we're going to put them inside each one of the jars, and we'll make a nice flavored stew and meat pack. Now this one's a little bit long. I'm going to have to change it, but you get the general idea. Now I am going to add a little bit of water, not much, into each one of these, because the juice from the meat is going to make broth for this pre-made stew. And so you don't need a whole lot of boiled water, which I've already poured in. I've already boiled this and cooled it down so that it wouldn't destroy the jars. If in fact they can break, do keep that in mind. They can break while they're in the pressure canner. So let me get these lids on, which I've got to go and get the pot that contains the lids, and then we're going to load up the pressure canner. Okay, now like always, remember you have to put water, about 2 inches of water in the bottom of your pressure canner for your I have an All-American, you might have your own, but I have 2 inches of water in here with a tablespoon of white vinegar. And then we're just going to keep putting our jars in to the pressure canner till it's completely filled and everything is ready to go. And then once again, we're going to put some oil on the edge of the pressure canner, my All-American. And then this is the kind of oil I'm going to use. Now you can use olive oil, but I prefer to use the canola. It's a lot easier to deal with. Now that we have all of our jars in here, you see I've got approximately 7 jars. And now I'm going to take some oil and I'm going to put it on the lip. And I'll bring you back after I've got the lid on because this thing is ready to go. Okay, here we are at my computer. And remember, we have to go to the National Center for Home Food Preservation. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down to where we want to do. Now, what we're doing is we are canning. So I'm going to click on that. And the computer is going to come up with the next screen. So then, remember, it asks you, what are you canning? So we're kind of canning meat and vegetables. So you come down here, and I'm going to click on meat. And then you can see the different varieties of menus that you can go through in order to can your food. Now, because mine has ground and, or not ground, but chopped meat in it with vegetables, I don't want to necessarily use that one. What I'm going to use, though, is the one that says meat and vegetable soup. And I'll click on that. And because I'm raw packing, plus the fact that I'm also got vegetables in it, and I live above 1,000 feet, I have to use 15 because our elevation where we live is over 1,600 feet. So that's what we have to use when we're using our quart jars. And as you can see, it says 15 pounds on the jiggler. So let's head back on over and we'll move forward with our canning. Now remember one thing though, this is a very good reference. If you forget or you're not sure, always go to this website because this is going to give you the information that you need. You can also get books like canning books, and Ball has a nice canning book that has a lot of nice recipes in it. But I make my own, so I just refer back to the Home Preservation of Food, and that's what I use for mine, and I highly recommend it. There is one other website I believe is coming out of Michigan, but I don't really use it, so I can't really say what it is or what the website would be. But if anybody asks me and in the comments, I'll be more than happy to get that information for you. When I was bringing this part of the video to you and I was explaining things, we also have to take note of the time. Because I'm doing quart jars, I have to do 75 minutes. Okay, so it's kind of important that you keep an eye on what you have to use for the PSI and what you have to use for your jars. Now, like I said, I'm using quart jars, not pints, so it's going to be 75 minutes. And we'll bring you back as soon as everything is ready to go, and I'm going to show you when I put the jiggler on. I call it a jiggler, but it's a relief valve. And we'll see you then. Okay, our mason jars are inside our pressure canner, and the pressure canner is boiling, if you can hear that sound, and it's venting. You can hear that right there, so you can see the condensation on my microwave. So what we're going to do now is we're going to allow it to vent for about 2 minutes, about 2 minutes. And then we're going to put the pressure regulator on. And remember, because we know that it's got to be on 15 for the PSI in order to properly can your pre-stew vegetable mix. So we'll get that on, and as soon as it's finished venting, we're going to have it come up to temperature, and we have to have it at least at 16 psi. So bring you back when it's all done, and you can see what it looks like after we have pressure canned our pre-stew mix. Well, here's our stew preparation. It's all done. Now we're just waiting for the things to pop so that they are completely sealed. And this will be finished, and as soon as they cool down, we'll wipe the jars off just a little bit, especially very gingerly on top, and put them in the pantry. That's all we have for today. See you on the next video, and happy cooking, everyone. Bye-bye.